the Badge, brought to you by Big O Tires.
Compared to other states, Utah doesn't have a large African-American population, and the same is true for police departments throughout our state.
Yeah, but one officer is trying to change that. ABC4's Brian Carlson explains what he's doing for police racial diversity in tonight's Behind the Badge report.
Utah has a lot of talented police officers, but what you don't have is a lot of black cops. And that lack of diversity is one area one officer recognized where he can personally make a big difference.
There's a reason Sergeant Nick Renfro with Unified Police stands out from the vast majority of all police officers in Utah. He's one of only 25 black officers reportedly working in the entire state.
I think it's very important for me to be a representative of my community and of my culture.
Sergeant Renfro's culture has some pretty prominent heritage.
We all made sacrifices.
His ancestor inspired the recent movie Green Flake about a black slave pioneer who helped settle the Salt Lake Valley. And the new Mill Creek City Hall is going in on Chambers Avenue, named after another one of his ancestors, among the first to live in Mill Creek.
This sign means a lot to me because, you know, my family's roots were here generations before me and are being recognized by the city now.
It's the same area Sergeant Renfro now patrols. He tells us he loves his job but wishes there were more black officers like him. Following the 2020 riots in downtown Salt Lake, a report on possible police reform to the governor highlighted just how rare Renfro is. Of the roughly 5,000 law enforcement officers in Utah, removing those whose race is unknown, white officers make up 91.4%. Only 5% are Hispanic, just over 2% Asian and Pacific Islander, 0.7% are black, and 4% American Indian or Alaskan Native.
If we have a profession that's predominantly one gender, one sexual orientation, one ethnicity, I think we're limiting ourselves in perspective of the communities that we serve, right?
It's part of the reason Sergeant Renfro decided to become a cop. Growing up in West Valley City, he initially was leery of police.
I remember stories of, you know, as I was coming up and learning to drive, to, you know, if ever contacted by the police, keep your hands on the steering wheel, keep your eyes forward, yes sir, no sir.
But after graduating from Utah State in psychology, he became a code enforcer for West Jordan, working closely with police. And his opinion on officers began to change.
I started to formulate relationships and see a different side of law enforcement than I had first perceived, and felt like the lack of representation by African Americans was very present and very needed.
Part of his work is now teaching other officers about police bias, helping to bridge Utah's racial gap. His steady work is also changing the attitude of Renfro's own father, who grew up leery against police too. Now, his dad feels differently.
He's quick to talk to other officers and tell them that his son's a sergeant with Unified Police Department. So I see the pride, which makes me feel, you know, very special to know that, you know, even within my family, that I've had an impact and a change.
Renfro feels being a racial officer ambassador can go a long way to improve perception of police or black culture, and hopefully inspire more young black Utahns to follow Renfro's path to wear the badge.
Sergeant Renfro says growing up, his friends would all talk about their negative experiences with police, and he didn't want to be someone keeping those stories going. He realized the best way he can make a difference and change stories for future kids was by doing it from inside the police force. Back to you.